Okay, Mike, a quick look through the concepts. So there's been some changes on the concepts, and probably the most important is the fact that where before we had grain production, winter crop, and grain production, summer crop, we've now got to deal with this intermediary set of facts. So we have grain production value. So I'm talking about value instead of weights to make things clear. Grain production value, winter crop, pre-selling cost, and share farming income adjustment. So this is our formula that you're used to, which is the grain revenue that you catch, plus the closing inventory on that specific grain and the less the opening inventory on that specific grain. Same formula holds for grain production value summer crop. Now we need to factor in selling costs. So we have a definition here for selling costs on the winter crop and the summer crop, and that's equal to the selling costs, which you will find in the highest level of the taxonomy, cost of goods sold. So selling costs multiplied by the grain production value on the winter crop, which is defined up here, over the grain production value on the winter crop and the grain production value of the summer crop. So we're factoring the selling costs to get the selling costs for the winter crop, and then we do the same with the summer crop. So that's our factor. And then we have something which is share farming income, and this was always by default on the winter crop. Only share farming income is split on winter crops. Problem is we don't know which winter crop, so we're not going to spread it across the winter crops, which was my initial plan. The way they want it now is simply doing it like this. So debiting rent, which is rent on the winter crop, and crediting a new line item which will be in your goods and units, winter crop, so name winter crop share farmer adjustment. So if you look for that constant name, and it can only get in there via way of an auto journal, so it's only ever going to come in with this exact name set, that's where you'll find it. So you know what the share farming income is. Now, grain production value, which you're used to, which was the original concept, grain production value winter crop equals the grain production value over here. I'll just pause that for a sec. So before I stopped, sorry, I think I got to grain production value winter crop and explained that it's the grain production value on the winter crop before we do the pre-selling, plus the share farming income on the winter crop minus the selling costs on the winter crop. So selling costs I've explained where to find. That's already there. Production value per cropped hectare, winter crop. So based on that value calculated there. Tonnage winter crop. So where weight equals the tonnage of all the winter crops. Production value per ton winter crop is the grain production on the winter crop over the tons. This is all pretty elementary. Grain production summer crop. So grain production summer crop pre-selling costs minus they only have selling costs on the summer crop. So as you saw, that's the formula for calculating the selling cost for the summer crop. So we don't have to go through the same seeded cropping hectares, production value per cropped hectare, summer crop tonnage, summer crop production value per ton, tons per hectare winter crop, so easy, tons per hectare summer crops, direct grain, and this I've changed the name on this. It seems that with their direct costs, we're going to do away with these, so don't delete your formulas, keep them. But at this stage, after speaking to the guys from Bird Cameron who specialise in farms, all of this stuff down here is rather hasn't got enough meaning because we don't we don't have enough specific information on the different costs, and there's not really any relationship with being able to break out human resource costs against the crops. Same with other overheads. It's just meaningless garbage that was done by the previous analysts. So we're just simply going to focus on the high level stuff, which is what I've covered off on here. And yeah, direct grain production input costs are these, total human resource costs are these, finance costs are these, but we won't do it relative to any weight or anything. It's just, we just report them very simply. Selling costs, and then we go into crop by type. So crop by type, obviously we do, so we look at selling costs, winter crop by type, because you'll see later on you actually need to break these selling costs out. So selling costs on all winter crops over grain production value winter crop, pre-selling cost chef by type. So we say, right, grain production value, which is one of the winter crops, wheat, over all winter crops to break out the selling costs for that specific crop type. Grain production value winter crop by type, and then we can just simply go grain production crop for that specific winter crop. I should have put specific winter crop on there, minus the specific winter crop by type. So this is by type. Grain production. Sorry, I'm messing up here. Grain production value winter crop by type. Of course, it's the grain production value winter crop, yes, minus the selling cost. So we're not factoring the share farming into this specific equation against a specific crop. And then we've got selling cost summer crop by type. So we've got to have a formula to break out the selling cost by type. Gives us the ability to then calculate grain production value summer crop by type. So remember, grain production value, but of course we've got to factor out the specific selling costs on the given crops, on the given crop, summer crop, in order to produce that. So production value per cropped hectare, crop by type, is the grain production value crop by type. So of course you'd have to have calculated it. You'd have to have done these preliminary calculations to get to this over the sown area for that specific crop. Production value per ton, crop type, grain production value crop by type, whether it's a summer or winter crop, over the tonnage where we know the tonnage of that named crop. Tons per hectare, tonnage, where we've got tonnage of named crop over sown area of named crop. I think that will do for now. I'll leave this video for these formulas, and then really I will go into some of the tests, some of the audit type tests, which are simple formulas as well, based on the definitions that we've described above.